Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again today on another session of the Learn with Cordros webinar sessions. Today, we promise that this will be very interesting and engaging, and we're sure that everybody's going to gain one or two things. As we all know, today we're partnering with a foremost company that is into citizenship and investment. They're very experienced in this field, and they're experts in this. As we go on in the presentation, we'll introduce our guests. But before we go on, we'd just like to establish a few ground rules so that everyone can be on the same page. Would like for everyone to please mute their mic throughout the presentation. And if you have any questions, please leave your questions in the comment section. We'll go through as much as possible at the end of the presentation. So I'll just go right into it. My name is Jolade Oladipo. I'm a wealth advisor with Cordros Asset Management Limited. And today we have our guest from Cersei Partner. I have Femi Badejo. I'll just let him do a bit of introduction and then we'll go right into it. Hi Femi, nice to meet you. Nice to have you today. Please over
Hi
to you.
Jolade, nice to have you as well. I hope you're doing good.
Very well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, please go on.
Please go ahead. Okay, let me just do a bit of introduction to about Cersei Partners. So Cersei Partners is the leading citizenship by investment firm founded by me and run by me and my partners. Our headquarters is here in Lagos, Nigeria, and we have operations in South Africa, Republic of Vanuatu, and Kenya. We are one of the most or the fastest growing indigenous Africa citizenship by investment company. And I'm also the Honorable Trade and Investment Commissioner to South Africa for the Republic of Vanuatu. What that means is in my capacity, I ensure bilateral relationship between the Republic of Vanuatu and South Africa when it comes to trade and investment as well. We not only are engaged in citizenship by investment, that is the sales of passports, we also assist government to prepare citizenship by investment programs that can allow investors invest in their countries. So we have partnerships across the world. We engage all different types of government to help them improve their bottom line by allowing wealthy investors into the economy via citizenship by investment. And this leads to accelerated citizenship. So that is just a brief of what we do at Cersei Partners.
Okay, thank you very much, Femi, for that introduction. So as we go on in the presentation, I will just be asking a few questions because I know a lot of people have questions on this citizenship by investment program. A lot of people know little or nothing about it, and a lot of people are also interested. So I'll just be asking a few questions that would help our guests or our attendees know more about this program and how they can go about it. So the first question I'll be asking is, what really is this citizenship by investment program about?
Okay, what's a citizenship by investment program? I think first I need to start with what it is not, right? Because we get a lot of inquiries. Do you do tourist visa? Is it a visa program? Is it, how do you do it? So it is not a visa program. We don't engage in tourist visas or any other visa. What citizenship by investment is the legal acquisition of citizenship, which is backed by law. So what that means is certain countries allow you to become a citizen, not by living in the country, not by marriage, not by birth, not by naturalization, but simply by putting money in their economy. And once you do that, they grant you accelerated citizenship in their country. You don't need to stay there. For some countries, you don't need to live there. What they're just saying is, you want our citizenship, you want to become a dual citizen. Simply put money in our economy and you get your citizenship. So that makes it citizenship by investment.
Okay, so in simple terms, what are the differences, or what's the difference between citizenship and residency? Because a lot of people would say, oh, I know some people that are not citizens of a country, but are permanent residents or temporary residents. So if you just give like a quick and very easy to understand description of the difference between residency and citizenship.
Okay, great. So when we talk about citizenship, like, you are a citizen of Nigeria. I don't know if you have a second passport. What that means is you carry their passports. So you have every citizenship.
So what can I send it? No objection.
Okay, so what that means, you have every citizenship rights. You can buy land, you can vote, you can do everything you need to do. So when we talk about residency, some countries will say, you know what, we cannot grant you citizenship. You cannot have our passports, which makes you a bona fide citizen. But what we can do is we can grant you residency, which allows you to stay in our country. And that means there are some staying requirements you need to meet when you are a resident. For example, a program in the UK will say you need to meet 180 days, 183 days in a year. In Greece, for example, if you want to go through the residency option, you have to stay 180 days in a year. That means you cannot, every 6 months, you need to be back in the country and you need to stay for maybe 6 months. But as a citizen, you have the passport. You can live as long as you want outside the country. So an example, if you're a citizen of the Republic of Vanuatu, for instance, you don't need to meet any stay requirements. You have your passport, you can stay as long as you want. So that is actually the difference between residency and citizenship.
Okay, so what are the various ways that someone can use in obtaining this citizenship for these various countries that we will be talking about?
Okay, so like I said initially, you can either become a citizen by naturalization, by marriage, by ancestry, or by birth. But for the last one, which is citizenship by investment, there are just two basic ways. You can do outright donation, or you can do investments. They are still both known as citizenship by investment. The only difference is, one, you have to purchase outrightly that by donating to the government. It still grants you a lifetime citizenship. And what this means is in 45 to 120 days, you still become a citizen, but by donation, that is, you are giving the government the money outrightly. It's not refundable. It's cheaper. Now, if you go by investment, what the government is saying is, you see this money you want to give us, we will return it back to you in 5 years, in 4 years. You cannot exit this money you give it to us, but after 5 years, we are going to give you back. That doesn't disturb you from having your citizenship between 45 to 120 days. It just means this route, the government will give you back your money. You earn at least 1 to 3% per annum, and you still get your citizenship, but they give you back your money after 4 to 5 years. So that's the difference. Yes.
For interrupting. So that means that if I'm donating, for example, if I'm investing and I give, say, $100,000 to the government of Vanuatu, as you've said, I would get my citizenship within a specific processing period, but my money is going to be with the country for a fixed number of years, after which my money would then come back to me.
Okay, so let me use an example. Vanuatu will only do outright donation. So what they are saying is we don't have the investment route, which is we give your money back after 5 years. Vanuatu will only do outright. So a country like Grenada, for instance, Grenada allows you access to 140 countries. Grenada also ensures that you have your E2 investors visa in the US, that is, you can gain residency in the US. So Grenada will say, you know what, if you don't want to go the route of donation, which they have. Now, give us $220,000. Now, in 4 years, we're going to give you your $220,000 back, plus 2% per annum. It doesn't disturb your citizenship. You still get your citizenship in 90 days. So for this example, Vanuatu does not do the investment route, which is give money back. What they do is outright donation. But for Grenada, for St. Lucia, for Dominica, yes, they will tell you we have a donation route, we have an investment route. For our investment route, after 4 to 5 years, we'll return your money.
Okay, so how does one choose which program is more appropriate or which program applies more to their circumstances, for example?
Okay, so this is a very important question because each time clients come to us, oh, Femi, we want citizenship. When you are speaking to my colleagues, we just want another passport. But the first thing, like a doctor will do, is you have to know exactly the reason why you want a second citizenship.
All right.
Now, from experience, you have clients who tell us, you know what, all I want to have is unlimited travel. I want to be able to pick up my passport and just go. I don't want a situation where I queue at the embassy. So for the rest 40, 50 years of my life and my children and my generation, I just want them to pick up their passport and just go. In that circumstance, we will recommend certain programs that have more countries that allow you to travel across different jurisdictions. So we recommend that because that is our diagnostic. That is what you've decided you want. Some clients will come to us and say, you know what, I'm thinking about relocating, especially for my kids. So what do you have for me? So in that situation, when a client tells me, US is very important to me, I want to have unrestricted access to the US. In that circumstance, we will recommend a country like Grenada. And Grenada is very interesting because as a Grenada citizen, you can obtain your residency in the US. So what that means is the moment you become a citizen of Grenada, you can apply to become a resident in the US. And that route, you need to invest an extra $100,000 in the US in an existing business. Now, that business is what will ensure you have residency for life.
Right.
So in that circumstance, I will give the client to say, okay, because you are looking at a situation where you might relocate later, Grenada is a possible option for you because it also grants you access to the US. It allows your children to go to school. It allows your wife to work. It allows you every access in the US. So that is one option. Some people will say, I want my kids. I cannot fulfill the staying requirements. For example, for the Republic of Ireland, Ireland will tell you, for you to have our passports, what you need to do is give us 1 million euros. So in that circumstance, you have clients who say, maybe I will use this opportunity for my kids to go to the university, because Ireland will say you have to stay here in 5 years, then after 5 years, you can apply for citizenship, but we will give you back your 1 million euros after 4 years. So that situation, that planning will say, I can allow my kids have the passports. They can use that 5 years, that opportunity to go to school. Then afterwards, they can get a passport. So it's not one size fits all. So for each time we sit down with clients, like a doctor, we would have to ask you, what are you trying to achieve? What do you want to do? So based on that, we will now recommend the appropriate citizenship for the client.
Okay, so how long does the process typically take from when you engage the prospect or the client to the point where citizenship is granted?
Okay, so you have certain countries, especially the Caribbean countries, and these countries allow you to obtain citizenship between 45 days to 120 days. I don't know, I think we have some of the slides for the Caribbean passports. So typically, Vanuatu, 145 days, 45 days rather, you have Grenada 90 days, you have St. Lucia 90 days, Republic of Ireland, you need to do a residency first before you get your passport. So that takes almost 6 years. So you have each of those countries will have, but typically the process that is involved for most of the Caribbean passports takes between 45 days to 120 days. So you don't need to stay anywhere. So right from Nigeria here, we take your application, we submit it to the government, and you get your passport.
Okay, so I know you've spoken about residency, like getting residency in a country like USA, for example, if you're going through Grenada. I just wanted you to expatiate on what benefits are really there for an applicant, their children, or their businesses in considering this kind of citizenship and investment program.
Oh, great. Okay. So let me use Vanuatu, for instance. There are certain countries that allow you to pass it down generations. So what that means is, as once you obtain your citizenship now, your entire generation, so you become the ancestor that changed your lineage, your ancestry or whatever. So that means your payments now in you investing in citizenship in 2020, in 200, your entire lineage is still benefiting from it. Their spouses are benefiting from it. Your great-grandchild is benefiting from it. So you become the ancestor that allows your children and your generation, anywhere they are born, you can apply for their passports. That gives a massive, immeasurable global opportunity. Because for one, St. George University, for instance, in Grenada, is one of the best medical schools anywhere in the world. And it's just 3 hours away from Miami. So if your child is a Grenada citizen, for instance, it's so easy to study in a country like Grenada. When it comes to global opportunities, because once you have access to anywhere in the world, those opportunities just keep piling up. So that means you as an individual, for your business, you pick up your passport and you're in Switzerland the next minute, visa free. You pick up your passport, you're in Germany. You finish your business in Germany and you need to be with your clients in China. You don't need to be the first thing you think about, oh, I don't have visa. No, the next thing you're doing is you're buying the next available ticket to travel, meet your business requirement. So it's so easy. Some clients come to us, they want to buy properties abroad. The Nigerian passport gives a bit of issue when you want to open an account, when you want to buy properties. You switching your citizenship to other citizenships, say St. Lucia, for instance, say Antigua, for instance, say St. Kitts, for instance, makes it easier for you to purchase properties, to open businesses, to go into international relationships very easily because the risk rating are quite low. When it comes to schooling as well, it's so easy for you, for your children to get into European schools. If you acquire maybe the Republic of Ireland, for instance, it helps them to be able to move across Europe easily. Cyprus just stopped their investment program. Cyprus allows you to leave school and do anything across the European Union. But for right now, it stopped. So those are the opportunities for people who have businesses. You can decide to locate your tax residency in any of these tax havens, because a country like Vanuatu is a tax haven. Even Dominica, for instance. So that what that means is no corporate tax, no wealth tax, no income tax, no nothing. So all you need to do is just locate your business, or you register an entity to buy your business entity here, and you just look for a way to financially engineer the entire process. So the opportunities is just not only visa-free travel, but better healthcare, you expanding global knowledge, is transferable to your born generation, tax breaks, access to more countries. So it's so immeasurable that time will not even allow us to finish talking about the benefits of you acquiring another citizenship without leaving your country.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to go through the route of real estate, for example, how do you choose what property to invest in if you're going through real estate?
Okay, so when we speak about real estate option, when we speak about investment, one thing we need to understand is these things are not your property. They are timeshare arrangements which through government approved properties. So for instance, you have Marriott will build a resort and government will approve and say, invest in Marriott and you can gain citizenship through this investment. So it's not as if you go there now and say, oh, my property is here, I want to go and stay there. They are timeshare arrangements which guarantees that you get your money back after 4 years. So when we sit with clients, when clients tell us exactly what they want to achieve, oh, do you want to exit after 4 years? You want to exit after 5 years? Which of these guys are guaranteed to give me my money back, even though they are government properties? Which is the easiest to exit? So those are the things when we sit down with clients, we go through the entire thing, which gives me more return on investment for my money, which gives me more than 3%, which gives me 2%. So those are the various ways when we sit with clients, we just look at the various things and say, okay, we believe this is right for you at this time. So that's how we determine this.
Okay, so like how many years is a passport for these countries valid for?
Okay, so it's for life, right? But you can renew after, some are 5 years, some are 10 years. Your citizenship is for life. Validity is saying, oh, after 5 years, you need to renew. And if you finish using your booklet in 1 year, you simply just renew. But your citizenship is for life. Passport validity is between 5 years and 10 years. St. Lucia will do 10 years. Vanuatu will do 5 years. Grenada will do 5 years. So every 5 years, you renew your passport, depending, or if you use it, because we have clients who don't sit in once they acquire this passport on a Wednesday, once we submit it, on a Saturday, they are telling me in Germany, Femi, I'm in Germany. On a Monday, they are saying, Femi, I'm in France. So you find these guys keep stamping their passport. So after 1 year, we simply have to renew the passport. Because it's a good travel document. You can go in and out as fast as possible without having to apply for any embassy.
Right. So, okay. So is dual citizenship 100% legal?
Oh, yes. By the extant laws in Nigeria, every Nigerian citizen is allowed to have another citizenship, whether by investment, whether by naturalization, whether by birth. That is why you have Nigerians virtually everywhere. It's completely legal. It's supported by the law, and you can acquire it anyhow you deem it fit.
Okay, so under what circumstances can an application be rejected by any country? Because I know some people would assume, oh, I have money, I can just give you money, Cersei partner, just get me my application and it's to be approved. But I'm sure that it's not, I'm sure that's not the case. So under what circumstances can these applications actually be rejected?
Sorry, you were breaking in between. I couldn't hear the question very well.
Okay, so I was saying that I know that a lot of people would assume that this whole citizenship and investment program is all about having money. Once I have money, I can acquire my citizenship. But I want to assume that's not the case. So my question is, exactly. So my question is, under what circumstances can an application be rejected?
Oh, great. So thank you. That question is very important and pertinent to this discussion, because a lot of people think, oh, because there's money, oh yeah, come and give me a passport. No, it doesn't work like that. First, there's a background check and security clearance that needs to be done. And what that is we bounce your name across every available database. If you've ever supported terrorism, fraud, if you've ever done anything that has made your passports, or they've lodged your passport anywhere in the world, if you are involved in financial crimes, if you are involved in any other crime that will bring the integrity of the program to disrepute, once we take your biodata page, once we check, if you do not meet that qualifying criteria, then you are not admitted. So even if you have the funds, if you don't pass that integrity criteria, background check, security check, you can't go in. Now, the second thing is, even though you don't have any of these things, and we sit down with you and we tell you, this program, you can't lie on your application. You can't present a fake document. You can't prevent a fake document. You can't even do anything untoward in this application. So what we tell you, even when you scale the first one and we start asking for documentation, proof of address, account statements, marriage certificates, and the whole list of them, every available document you must present to us has to be genuine, because these countries have very strict due diligence process. They will verify every document you've ever submitted. So at the end of the day, if we admit you and you've passed the first check, and in our discussion, we've submitted your submission of document, you ended up submitting all the documents, but you gave us the fake driver's license, you gave us a fake national ID card, you went to Oluwole to quickly do it. Once you do any of that and they find out, they see it as an integrity issue, because this for them is very important. This is what they use to fund their infrastructure, to pay for healthcare, to pay for this and that. And if they admit any wrong person, and this person goes ahead to commit crimes in all of these visa-free countries, it affects them. So they rather take you out and let other people in, so that you don't cause trouble for the integrity of the citizenship by investment. So these are the two circumstances you can be rejected. One, if your background check doesn't come out good. Secondly, if you lie on your application by submitting documents that are not real.
Yeah, so if after going through an application, you've paid all the fees required and the application gets rejected, is there going to be like a refund to the applicant?
Okay, so for the government fees and all that fees, so that is why we set these ground rules. You know, when you started, there are ground rules to say, please mute your mic, please don't do it. So when we set all these ground rules and the fault is from you because you presented a fake document to us, you won't get any refund. And the thing about it is, you don't even pay the entire fee. You first pay all the government fee and the legal management. The bulk of the money, which is almost 70%, is after you've gotten your approval. So there are chances that you're not going to lose so much money, because what you start with initially is just 30% of the entire thing. Once you get the approval, then you move to 70% of the bulk. So, but you see, in that 30%, apart from our legal fee, once we remit money to the government and you lie on your application, the government will not return such funds, right?
Yeah.
So when we lay the ground rules and we tell you, these are the ground rules, please, but if there are anything that is our fault, we fail to do certain things, and the government says, oh, the fault of the company, we will refund you the legal and management fee. But what we always make sure to do, because it's important we let clients know, we don't joke with our application process, because our reputation is also on the line. So what we ensure we do is, before we start, the ground rules are agreed, every contract is signed, and we begin. Do not lie on your application. If you lie on the application, there's nothing we can do about that.
Okay, sorry, before we go on, I just wanted to notify the attendees that if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, the chat session, so that we can read them out at the end of this presentation. We're gradually getting to the end of the session, so if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat room. So Femi, I wanted to ask, right, so I know that for some people would want to find out that I don't want to do this program I don't want to apply for just myself. I'm married, I have a wife, I have kids. Is there a limit to the number of dependents that an applicant can have, or it's endless? You can just keep
it
depends.
There's no limit. Okay, so on every application, you can either come in as a single applicant, a married couple, or family. Now, single is what it is. Couple is you and your wife. You can't add a second wife. So couple is just you and your wife. For family, father, mother, children, some will set the age below 30. Most of the time it's 30 below. Some will say 25 below. Now, to that question, to talk about dependents now. One, you can add your aged parents from your side, from your spouse's side. You can add your sibling, your dependent sibling that is unmarried, does not have kids, and is still dependent on you, 30 years and below. So if you have siblings that are 20, 30 years and below, you can add them, but at an additional cost. So some will say for each dependent sibling you add is $75,000. Some will say it is $30,000. Some will say for each parent you add is $50,000. So the more you add, the more the cost of your citizenship will go up, right? So as long as you meet this criteria, the dependents are not married, that is your sibling, your brother, your sister, they are unmarried, they don't have children, and they are dependent on you, you can add them. Infinity, but as long as you recognize that for each of these additions, it comes at an extra cost.
Okay, all right, so I'll just take a few questions now from the chat room. So I have a question here that says, is Grenada a tax haven?
Yes, Grenada has no income tax, no wealth tax. Is a very good place as well, yes.
Okay, and then another question is, why go through Grenada when you can become a United States citizen through investment? A foreign national can apply for the investor program visa, and you can invest between $500,000 and $1 million in property for outright without going
right. And yes, and correct. For that, you have to meet a stay requirement. So the US will say, oh, you have to stay here for 5 years. Grenada is saying you don't have to stay for 5 years. You just get your passport in 3 months. Then that means in 6-7 months, you can become a citizen in the US without even investing the whole 500,000, right? So at the end of the day, it's even cheaper to first become a great citizen of Grenada. You can travel across the world, even visa free to China, to Russia. First, you've had that in 3 months. In another 2 months from there, then you can apply for residency in the US. But if you go directly,
Sir Femi, I can't hear you, Femi. Could you please check your mic? I can't. Yeah, I think you.
So that's the difference. Some people will prefer that. Some people will say, well, I just prefer to have the Grenada citizenship. So I know I've switched my citizenship and I can have access to other global opportunities.
Right. Okay, so another question says, kindly help shed light on the gray area in the Constitution that addresses dual citizenship. Sorry, just a minute. Yeah, the Constitution that addresses having a dual citizenship and the effect it can have on running for a political office in future in Nigeria.
No, it doesn't have any effect. The Constitution allows you to obtain dual citizenship. Is when people want to act a bit funny that they say, oh, because you're a dual citizen. Our former Senate president has a dual citizenship. It doesn't affect anything. But when people want to act funny, they say, no, you can't. But there's nowhere in Nigeria's constitution that doesn't support, that says you can't be a citizen of another country. It's clean and clear. The constitution allows you to obtain dual citizenship.
Okay, so do countries like Canada, the UK, and the US, do they have this option of citizenship by investment? And do you handle
yes,
that?
They do. Those 3 countries you've mentioned, they would all ask you to have stay requirements, right? And it takes longer. So UK can say they have a tier 1 investors visa that allows you to invest £2 million in the UK. But what they are saying is after 3 years, you can now apply for citizenship. You can apply for ILR. We have a program as well that allows you to invest £150,000 in pre-approved businesses by the government, but it takes you 8 years to get the citizenship. You get your indefinite leave to remain after 3 years. You do another 3 years, then you have to do another 2 years. So it takes longer. So you have a lot of people saying, I cannot meet all the stay requirements. UK, US, Canada would say, yes, you have to be in our country for at least 3 straight years. A lot of our clients have businesses here. They've made their money here. All they want to do is better access across the globe. They don't want to have a meeting in Finland, for instance, and they can't get a visa. And because of that, they lose a €2 million transaction. They don't want that for the rest of their lives. So a lot of these people have businesses here, have funds here, and they just want access for themselves, create global opportunities for their children, and that is just it. So for the UK, for US and Canada, they all require staying, they all have staying requirements. For this other passport, right from this place, we apply and you come to our office in Banana Island to pick up your passport.
Okay, so I can see that we've seen a lot of these Caribbean countries in the documents that we've been sharing. I just wanted to ask, like, how many countries do you really cover at Cersei? Like, so if somebody wants to, for example, if I want to obtain citizenship by investment from Germany, do you cover that? Do you have an endless list of countries that you cover?
No, it's not endless because it's not all countries that take it to the passport page, our entire passport page. So it's not all countries that allow you to obtain citizenship. Like Nigeria doesn't do citizenship by investment, Ghana doesn't do. So you have just a few countries that allow you. Some of the countries we do, Malta, Cyprus just stopped. You have Greece, you have Turkey, you have Portugal, you have St. Lucia, you have St. Kitts, you have Montenegro, you have Dominica, you have Moldova. So in all, we do about 13 countries that allow visa citizenship by investment.
Okay. Okay. And then I have
the fastest clients buy across in Nigeria and across all our jurisdiction is majorly Caribbean parcels because they don't have any stay requirements. They just allow you to obtain full citizenship.
From your country and then full citizenship. Okay. So I have another question here that says, I'm already a dual citizen. However, I would like to take advantage of the investment opportunity in another country. Is there any way this is possible?
Okay. So there's an area we normally exploit in citizenship by investment, especially for Nigerians. The Constitution is silent on you obtaining more than 2 citizenship. It just says you can be a dual citizen, you can obtain another. So it doesn't say you can't have a 3rd citizenship. You can't have a 4th one. So for business purposes, we've seen clients that have 3 citizenship, that have 4. Why? Because they want to do an investment in Grenada. They want to do investment in St. Kitts. They decide to just buy this passport. So even though you're a dual citizenship, for investment purposes, and because you want to be part of the economy, you can actually obtain another citizenship for you to have a 3rd citizenship.
Okay.
You understand? Yeah, so it's very possible. We can, based on if this client is ready, we can also financially engineer how we can locate his business in a tax haven. He can acquire a passport in a tax haven, locate his business there, and we can see how we can help him lower his tax obligations and still function effectively. Yes.
Okay, and then someone else is asking that from your experience, which top 2 countries would you advise for an entrepreneur to consider?
My experience. Okay, so let me use from my experience. Nigerians are amazing people, and we can get impatient. So most of the time people tell me which is the fastest. So top to me is what my people want. Vanuatu, 45 days, you become a full citizen. You have access to 139 countries plus 28 jurisdictions. You can pick up your passport, go to Switzerland, sit down, and for 90 days, you can pick up your passport, be in Monaco for another 90 days. You can live in the UK for 180 days. So top is one of the fastest that Nigerians, our people, say they want. So if you see on our page, we deliver more Vanuatu passport than anyone. Second top is Grenada, because a lot of Nigerians have businesses in China. So my Igbo brothers, they buy Grenada a lot because it's visa free to China. So they calculate it and say to themselves, if I have 40 years left in my life and I acquire Grenada passport, so now you mean for the next 40 years, I just pick up my passport and go to China. They love that, so they acquire it. Some people also acquire Grenada because they want to have access, unrestricted access to the US. So it's very important for them because we've seen situations where our clients have lots of funds in the US, but they still bounced them. They still did not give them visa to go to the US. So some people have properties, millions of dollars just in the US now. So second top is Grenada because one, access to China visa free, access to the US residency option, and it gives you visa free movement across the globe as well. And it's a very well-known country for your kids. It's one of the most important popular tourist destinations with about 2 million visitors every year, where the cruise ships always stop there. So some of our clients also, once they become citizens, they buy resorts, they build hotels so that they can take advantage of the massive tourist potential in Grenada.
Okay, so someone else is asking that, please, can you shed light on how to move your business registration to tax havens like Vanuatu?
Okay, let me use one example of how we financially engineered a client's business. So you can, as a Vanuatu citizen, you can register your business in Vanuatu. That's the first process. You can establish, let's use Jolade Vanuatu Limited, for example, and you have Jolade Nigerian Enterprises, for instance. So as a Vanuatu citizen, once you have Jolade Vanuatu, you can buy up the entity in Nigeria, for instance, right?
Okay.
So the Nigerian enterprise can so you just invoice the Vanuatu enterprise, right? So that means operation-wise, all the monies from here, you keep it in Vanuatu. So you don't have any tax on that money in Vanuatu because the government just wants the money to be in their system. A client we did Dominica for, because Dominica also has Barclays, is also a tax haven. So all they did was register an entity by the Nigerian enterprise, and most of the money from the Nigerian enterprise is taken to Barclays in Dominica. No income tax, no wealth tax, no corporate tax, no other any form of tax. All you need to do is just keep your money there in Dominica. So that's the way you can, that client, we can also talk offline so that we can fully help them financially engineer the entire process.
Okay, so we'll take a few more questions, but before we go on, I just want to let the attendees know that if you have any further clarifications or inquiries, or you want us to set up a one-on-one consultation session just so we can properly understand your circumstances and the experts can recommend what country or jurisdiction works best for you, please send an email to wealthadvisor@cordros.com. We've left the email address in the chat box, so if you'd like to send us an email on inquiries or whatever, please check the chat box. We've left the email address for you to send your email to. So I'll just take a few more questions, maybe about 3 or 4, and then we'll just round up the session. So we have one here that says, for Grenada, is US residency automatic when I apply, or are there conditions attached to the residency?
Okay, so once you become a Grenada citizen, Grenada has what we call the E2 Investors Treaty with the US. So it's not automatic. And what that means is, as a citizen in Grenada, you are allowed to invest in the US, 100,000 above, right? So once you put your money in the US, we do the end-to-end process. That qualifies you to get residency in the US. So it's not as if, oh, once I'm a Grenada citizen, once I just apply, they just, no. You need to invest. You are going to the E2 investors route. That means you must invest in the US for you to get your residency.
Okay. So what's the minimum amount to obtain citizenship for a family? Can we have the countries we covers in comparison, and which is most efficient?
Okay, so if you are coming in as a family, like I said, the family of 4, so budget, the family of 4 will start from anything from $195,000 or $200,000 upward, right? So if you're coming from as a single applicant, 160, if you're coming as a couple, 195 sometimes, because Antigua, each of these countries have different price points. So depending on what the clients will want, that is when we tell them the price point. But just note, as a family, sometimes they do promo, like for instance, St. Kitts is saying as a family of 6, come with $150,000 sometimes, and come. So you have St. Lucia. So from time to time, there are promotions that will happen. So we can't give you, say, oh, this is it. But outside that, a typical investment, a typical citizenship will cost for a single applicant will start from at least 160, 165,000 upwards to about $250,000. For a family of 4, family of 5, you keep. So the more you, like we said, the more you keep adding applicants, the more your cost will increase.
Okay, somebody is asking, are nieces and nephews eligible? And then,
no, they are not.
Are they?
Nieces and nephews cannot come in.
Okay. And then,
so like I said, let me just go over it. What can come in is you, your wife, your children, your sibling. And when we say your sibling, it has to be unmarried, without children, and the likes of it. Your parents can also come in, yes. So it's just limited to that space. You can't put your second wife, you can't put your niece, you can't put your nephew, no. You can't put your baby.
And then, can citizenship be transferred afterwards to a spouse by virtue of marriage?
Yes. So if at the point of your application, let's say you have a fiance, you guys are not married yet. Once you marry her, you can add her to the application. You won't be paying that much. Some will say adding spouse to your citizenship by investment application for you to have $25,000. Some will say.
Femi, your mic is muted.
Huge amount anymore. You just pay to add. Same thing if you have your children. You just, some will say pay us 5,000, pay us 10,000 just to add. So it's not saying, oh, once you are married, it becomes automatic for everybody. No, because the route you came in through is citizenship by investment. Is it?
Okay, your mic keeps getting muted. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so I think we'll take about 2 or 3 more questions and then we'll round it up because questions just keep dropping. But as I said, we might be able to take all the questions today. So please, for further inquiries and clarifications, please send an email to wealthadvisor@cordros.com. So one here says, what's the criteria for single moms with kids?
No, there's no criteria. It's fine. Single mom with kids, we just calculate how many kids you have. Okay. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, there's no criteria. Once you just pass your background check, we let us know the number of kids you have. We just add them to it, and you still get it. We have a lot of single moms, and we still facilitate their citizenship. It doesn't have to be dad and mom. It can be dad and the children. It can be mom and the children. So it's perfectly fine.
Okay, so which European Union citizenship or residency program does not require physical presence, and how much would it typically cost if there's any?
Most of the one that won't require majorly Cyprus citizenship, they've stopped it. It cost about 2 million euros. Malta, for now, they are saying, oh, let's hold on Nigeria, which cost about 1.2 million euros. So any other one will still require stay. Any other citizenship or residency option in Europe, for instance, will always require stay. That is why, like I said, this option is always the best option. That's its Caribbean passport. Montenegro is not yet in the European Union, but they are sending into the European Union by 2025. So we have clients that are already positioning, and it costs about $350,000. but the actual cost is $100,000. The 250 is for you to obtain, is by investment, is the investment which will be returned to you, which you can exit after 5 years. But they are going to be fully in the European Union in 2025. So anybody that has the passport now is positioning for that. So that is another way. It gives you access to over 120 countries plus all the European Union anyway. But their agreement, admittance into the European Union will be completed by 2025. So that means if you have Montenegro passport now, by 2025, you can live, work, school anywhere in the EU.
Okay, so final question. What informs what you invest in, or are the investment sectors fixed? So somebody is asking that what
informs what you invest in? These are they are set programs. So like the reason why St. Kitts started in the first place was to help their sugar plantation. So some countries will say this fund is directed as these developments, right? Which is non-refundable, donate to us. But when it comes to real estate investment, they are often government-approved properties by developers that government has approved. So you are investing majorly only in Dominica, for instance, government-approved properties. Grenada, government-approved properties. St. Kitts. So the route of the investment is put your money in these government-approved properties, and between 1 to 3% per annum. And afterwards, you get your money back. Your citizenship is still for life. You still get it between 45 to 120 days. So they are majorly government-approved properties.
Okay, thank you very much, Femi. So we've come to the end of the session. Again, please send an email to wealthadvisor@cordros.com if you have any further questions or clarification. Femi, I'll just give you about 2 or 1 minute just to round up. I don't know if you have any closing remarks or whatever that you want to say to the attendees.
Yes. For most of when each time clients say, oh, is this real? Does this happen? How possible it is for me to obtain the citizenship of another country without leaving my country? How is this done? Is it fake? It's an interesting question, and each time I tell clients is the more you know, the better it is. There are countries that allow you to obtain citizenship by putting money in their country. It's another way for them to increase their funds to develop their country. For instance, before Cyprus stopped, they had over $8 billion. Vanuatu has made over $100 million in this quarter simply from this. And they use this money to set up and to fund their economy. Any citizenship by investment is always backed by law. That means the country's parliament, the country has signed it into law. That one of the ways you would make people citizens is by putting money in our economy. So it is completely very legal, very original. There's nothing illegal about it. It is clean and clear. You can actually, for instance, St. Kitts has been there since 1984. And some of these countries have been doing it since the 90s. But right now it's an emerging business in Africa. And a lot of people are saying, oh, we need an alternate passport. We need another, just get you to 44 countries. And it's just Africa and the rest. But you see, these passports allow you into almost all developed countries in the world. So it is completely legal. There's nothing illegal about it. And we are here to help clients obtain dual citizenship without even leaving Nigeria.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Femi, for honoring our invite. Thanks to everyone that also attended. We hope that you've been able to learn and gain 1 or 2 things from this session. And we look forward to having you in our future sessions as well. Thank you so much. Please stay safe and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you for having me. And have a good one too. Bye.